Hello students, we are back again. In last video we discussed about some of the challenges which we are facing in order to get the sustainable development goal in our country. So in this session we will be learning about how to overcome these challenges in order to get all the 17 sustainable goals in our country. So So, as we all know that there are in total 17 sustainable goals which are required to be obtained till 2030 as it was discussed in 2015 in United Nations. The thing is in our country there are a number of challenges and those challenges we have already discussed. So in this session we will be learning about the challenges which can be overcome in order to get all the sustainable development in our country. Some of the challenges which we can overcome is like defined leadership we can have measures for social inclusion, we can have defined scope for all the sustainable development goal, we can have clear indicators for all the goals, and we can get correct and ample data for progress monitoring, and lastly financing in SDGs are required particularly in order to the very first thing which we can do in order to overcome the challenges is we can get a defined leadership. Government of India should particularly initiate and create a particular institution which should have only and only the responsibility to monitor and to observe the progress of sustainable development goal in our country. It should appoint a person who has the responsibility to look over it, and he should have only that single task to look for the sustainable development goal and to look for the development of sustainable development goals in our country. So when a single institution will be there and that institution will be having responsibility of only one thing, then that will certainly concentrate on that particular task only. So that is why a single and a intact institution is required, and that is only and only designed and developed, created for sustainable development growth, that is to achieve all the SDGs, sustainable development goals, 17 of them in our country, and that should be governed by a single person, and that single person should have the responsibility of only that particular thing. So when a single governing body will be there, then certainly there will be a very particular leadership will be there, and that leadership will lead certainly to obtain all the sustainable development goal in our country. When there will be a single institution or a institution who is only responsible for attaining the sustainable development goal, then certainly it will look after it throughout the country, and certainly it will go after the partnership also. It will try to coordinate among all the state, all the districts all over the country to monitor, to observe, and to implement the sustainable development goal, because it will be having a single responsibility and it will be. India is a vast country of different type of cultures, traditions, people, climatic conditions, geographical reasons, and people live all around. So the challenge was social inclusion. So there should be some measures which should be taken to include each and every person throughout the country. Different mindsets are there, so certainly some institutions, some responsible persons are required who should take the responsibility to make them understand the need and the use of sustainable development goals. And it is certainly required that all these persons all around the country who are living at different places, who have different mindset, who have different languages, who lives at different places, some lives in rural areas, some in urban areas, some in far off places, some are living in very isolated areas, some even do not have the communication, some do not have transport. So certainly some institutions, some government institutions are required who should take the responsibility of including all those persons living all around in all these places. Then only this sustainable development goals can be achieved in our country. For different types of people, for different types of languages, for people living in different regions and different thoughts, certainly different ideas will be required to make them understand and to include them. So certainly it is a difficult task, but certainly it is also required. So it's, see, like we discussed in last session, that is, there is no defined scope for all the SDGs in our country. So certainly one thing more is required, that a defined scope is required for all the SDGs, that is sustainable development goal in our country. That is, what are the scope of all the goals? If we reach to a particular goal, what will happen, how it will be useful, or what should be the scope of that particular goal is not defined. So certainly in our country we require a defined scope of all the sustainable goals. Say for example, if we take education, so it should be defined that what should be the quality of education at all the levels, that is primary level or middle level or high school or intermediate or university level, college level. The quality of education should be defined. It should also be there that at certain interval of time, like after a year or 2 year or 3 year, how many schools or how many colleges more are being opened up. It should also be defined that after getting a particular degree or particular type of education, what will be the scope of that particular degree. So it should be defined not only for one particular thing, but for all the 17 sustainable development goals. The scope should be defined in our country. It should be clearly defined that what should be the effect of long term profit of getting the sustainable development goal in the country. That is, the next issue was, we do not have clear indicators for all the sustainable goals. So what we require is, we require a very clear indicator. See here, clear indicator means when we can say that we have achieved a particular sustainable goal. See, like if we say that we are getting drinking water, or everybody is getting drinking water in the country, so it is not defined here कि drinking water should be of what quality. So here what we require is, we require indicator. Indicator means the quality, what should be the quality of water which everybody is getting. When that quality is reached, that means then we are getting that particular sustainable development goal. That means the quality level of each and every goal should be defined. A clear indicator should be there. That indicator will certainly define that we have reached or achieved a particular sustainable development goal. Like I said, water, so there should be some clear indicator that what should be the quality of water which everybody should get. Then only we can say that each and every person of the country is getting clear drinking water. There should be clear indicator about physical quality of water, the temperature of water. It should be having also the chemical property of water, what is the pH level of water, how much percentage of water is dissolved in it. It should also have the biological indicators also, that about algae and plankton in the water. See, these all thing together will make a very clear indicator, and that clear indicator will tell what quality of water minimum is required by a single person in the country. And when this is achieved, means that when a particular quality of water will be gained or will be consumed. The next thing which we are missing out or the challenge was the collection of data, the clear and correct data. So we require certain agency, we require agency which should be capable enough to collect data at a regular interval of time related to all the sustainable development goals. So the agency should be quite responsible one, and it should collect data at a regular interval of time, not one time but regular interval of time. That also should be collected in a very organized manner, which should follow the indicators which we mentioned before. Means the indicators will make these data more correct, that whether the particular data is collected on the basis of a particular indicator or not. So the data should be collected at the regular interval of time, it should be collected together, and then it should be analyzed, and on the basis of analysis only the final result can come out, that whether or not we are going to achieve a particular sustainable goal or not, or whether we have achieved a particular sustainable goal, or what percentage is still required, or what is missing in a particular data, so that we can get a particular sustainable development goal. So this collection of data will also tell what we are missing, so what we can add in order to get a particular sustainable goal. So certainly agencies are required, and correct data collection is required, and that too at a regular interval of time. So the last thing which we require is the budget, which will be financed by government. See, the government of India should release budget specifically for the SDGs, but some of the institutions which are very big in our country like IAS, IIT or IIM, these should come forward in designing and development, so that the burden of the budget should get lower. Means they should design in such a way that the lower the budget may get in order to achieve the sustainable development goals. What I want to say is that a single thing can be obtained in various ways. So certainly these agencies, these institutions should come forward and they should develop and create some pattern. The pattern should focus on development of all these sustainable development goal in such a way, so that the goals can be achieved in lesser budget. Not only government but some of the private institutions should also come forward, and they should finance, they should release some budget in order to achieve the sustainable development goal in our country. So basically it is a partnership between government and the private institutions. Both should come forward and they should release some budget in order to get all the SDGs in our country. So when we will be overcoming all these challenges, certainly we will be very near to achieve all the sustainable development goals, altogether 17 and 169 targets. It is not a very big task.